Guyana is a country situated in South America. Now, suicide represents a significant social in Guyana, which is characterized by one of the highest suicide rates globally. This distressing phenomenon affects individuals, families, and communities, underscoring the necessities of addressing it to enhance the nation's mental health landscape. Various societal, cultural, and economic factors contribute to the persistent occurrence of suicide in Guyana. A comprehensive understanding of the root causes and examination of their effects and the identification of strategies to mitigate the incidence of suicide are essential for fostering a healthier and more supportive environment. Guyana, with a population of over 800,000, consequently consistently ranks among the highest countries with elevated suicide rates. According to the World Health Organization in 2019, Guyana recorded an average suicide rate of 40.3% for every 100,000 people, a figure significantly higher than the global average of 9.0 per 100,000 people. Historically, this issue has been more prevalent in rural areas, particularly in regions such as Berbice and Essequibo, where societal and economic challenges are more pronounced. Suicide disproportionately affects men, who account for more than 75% of reported cases, primarily due to societal expectations and an inadequate provision of mental health support. This situation is deeply rooted in historical context, including generational trauma, poverty, substance abuse, and insufficient mental health services. Desp- Despite a rise in awareness in recent years, suicide continues to present an urgent crisis, especially among school children. So, for this documentary, we'll be conducting an interview with a school guidance counselor who's attached to a reputable secondary school in Guyana, whereby we'll be giving some insights on suicide and what we can do to help mitigate these challenges. Now, for the purpose of this interview, we'll have to hide the identity of the guidance counselor.
Okay, so Miss Bibi, we have been talking, and for the purpose of this interview, I won't be showing your face in the interview. So we've been talking about suicide. Now, what are some of the main factors causing, contributing to the high suicide rates in Guyana, also particularly among the young people?
Okay, sir. Now, there are several factors that would contribute. One of which, that is most pressing, is a lack of mental health awareness and the resources that is available to those in need. Now, many young people, they struggle with overwhelming pressure. Now, this can be from various aspects of their life. It can include the demanding expectation that their family members may set upon them. It can be the academic challenges that they would face in school, or it could be the social pressures that would come when they're navigating their friendships and their relationships. Now, socioeconomic factors, they play a crucial role. There are high rates of poverty and unemployment, and these can leave young people feeling very trapped and hopeless about their future prospects. In many communities, opportunities for stable employment is very scarce, and this can exacerbate the feelings of despair and worthlessness. There's also the stigma that is associated with mental health issues, and this would further complicate the situation. In many culture, you know discussing mental health conditions is often seen as a sign of weakness, and this itself discourages individuals from seeking the help they need. As a result of this, many young people, they endure struggles in silence. They feel isolated and helpless until they reach a breaking point. So the combination of the societal, the economic, and even the personal pressures, as I mentioned, all of these contribute to creating a challenging environment for these young people. And ultimately, it would contribute to a tragic rise in the suicide rates.
Okay, so as a guidance counselor attached to secondary school in Guyana here, how do you see mental health and suicide being treated in the school environment. Now, is it openly discussed?
Now, you have to understand that mental health and suicide are very sensitive topics. Now, historically, they've not been openly discussed in many of the environments in schools. But there is a growing awareness, and schools are beginning to recognize the importance of addressing these issues. But it is a work in progress. We need more comprehensive programs that would not only focus on the academic success of the individual, but would prioritize their emotional well being and support their mental health.
Okay. So, having said that, let me ask this now. What are some warning signs or risk factors for suicide among students that teachers, parents, or maybe their colleagues, their fellow peers at school should be aware of?
Okay. So, of course, these differ student to student, they don't happen in any order and so on. But some of the signs that you can look for is changes in their behavior. So you can see a noticeable withdrawal from friends and social activities, and this is one of the first signs. Students who previously enjoyed spending times with their friends, they may start to isolate themselves. They don't want to go to social gatherings. They may openly decline invitations. They may make excuses and so on. Another sign is their academic performance. Now, a sudden and unexplained drop in their academic performance can be quite alarming, and that's a sign to look for. A student who may have once performed well may begin to skip class. They may turn in incomplete assignment, or they may display a lack of interest altogether in their studies. Now, this would signal deeper emotional distress in this individual. Another one that persons can look for is expressions of hopelessness. Now, you need to look for phrases that would reflect a sense of hopelessness or feelings of being trapped. Students may say things that students may say things or express despair about their future or convey that they feel they can't see a way out in their current situation. All these are signs that they are hopeless about their future.
Okay, so after having you listed those signs and the factors as well, let me ask something now. What are some, as a guidance counselor, how do the guidance counselors support students who may be struggling with suicidal thoughts, as well as what are some of the services or programs that are available for these persons, these students in the school system?
All right. So the guidance and counselors, our primary responsibility is to establish a secure and supportive environment in which students can articulate their feelings. Now, when a child presents with these challenges, one of which I failed to mention earlier is body harm. And that's why we have a trend going on right now in our local secondary schools. Students may cut their hand, etc. Now, when we're presented with these challenges, we try to provide individualized counseling. But if there are cases of significant concern, well, we would facilitate referrals to external mental health professionals because they would possess the requisite expertise to handle that matter. But additionally, we endeavor to implement programs within the educational institution, which would include
What are some, as a guidance counselor, how do the guidance counselors support students who may be struggling with suicidal thoughts, as well as what are some of the services or programs that are available for these persons, these students in the school system?
All right. So the guidance and counselors, our primary responsibility is to establish a secure and supportive environment in which students can articulate their feelings. Now, when a child presents with these challenges, one of which I failed to mention earlier is body harm. And that's why we have a trend going on right now in our local secondary schools. Students may cut their hand, etc. Now, when we're presented with these challenges, we try to provide individualized counseling. But if there are cases of significant concern, well, we would facilitate referrals to external mental health professionals because they would possess the requisite expertise to handle that matter. But additionally, we endeavor to implement programs within the educational institution, which would include peer counseling and mini mental health workshops. And these are going to be designed to assist the student in recognizing when they or even when their peers require support. Because a child may be going through all of this and does not realize that, you know what, I'm heading down the line of having suicidal thoughts. But nevertheless, it is important to acknowledge that available resources may be limited to handle matters like these. So it highlights the necessity for increased focus on this area.
Okay, so let me ask this now again. How effective are these interventions in preventing suicide, and what challenges do you face in offering this support?
The interventions that we offer can be very effective, particularly when students are willing to open up and if the child or the situation is brought to us early on. And so one of the challenges we face is the stigma that is attached or the stigma that's attached to mental health in Guyana. Many of the students and their families, they're reluctant to reach out for help due to the fear of judgment. Another one is that most cases come to us when it's almost at the breaking point. One other issue is that there are not enough professionals that are trained to meet the growing demand of mental health support that is needed in these schools.
Okay, so do you believe that there is a stigma around the mental health and suicide in Guyana?
Like I said, yes. There is a significant amount of stigma that surrounds mental health and suicide. Um, Many people they perceive mental health struggles as a personal weakness on the part of the individual, and they believe that individuals can simply snap out of whatever difficulty they are going through. Now, the cultural stigma, this discourages students, individuals, from admitting that, you know what, they are indeed struggling, and it will prevent them from seeking the help they need.
And this is something we don't want.
Yeah, they fear that they're going to be labeled or shamed, and this often delays intervention, like I said earlier, until a crisis point is reached.
Okay, so what steps do you think should be taken both within the school and the broader community in order to reduce the rate of suicide and also to support mental health well-being?
Okay, so education is paramount. That's my belief in fostering mental health well being. It's very essential to incorporate mental health education into the school curricula as a topic itself and from an early age. Now, this is going to help to normalize discussions around emotions and mental health. Schools should also prioritize the training of their educators to be able to recognize early signs of distress that their students may have. So not everything is left on the guidance counselors because as it is, a guidance counselor is not in the classroom. The teachers are the persons that is there most of the time. Community-wise, the enhancing of the accessibility of mental health resources and the support systems for families is very crucial. We must actively work to dismantle the stigma, though, that is associated with mental health. Now, the launching of comprehensive awareness campaigns that engages the entire community, I believe, including parents and the caregivers, guardians, this is going to significantly contribute to the effort of reducing the stigma.
Okay, so I know time is of the essence, but one last question before I go. What role do you believe the parents and the community play in preventing youth suicide?
So, as you know, there's a saying that says, no man is an island. And so I am of the firm belief that parents and the broader community, they are essential in the prevention of youth suicide. And they serve as the critical first line of defense,
Okay.
you know. So it's imperative for parents to foster environments in which children feel secure about expressing their emotions. So early on, the child could start expressing that I'm feeling distressed, etc. Now, concurrently, the community must also cultivate a culture characterized by openness and support. By collectively prioritizing mental health, we would be able to enhance our capacity to support these young individuals. And we will be able to mitigate the occurrence of these tragic events.
Okay, Miss. All right. I'd like to say thank you very much for taking part in the making of this documentary. Thank you so much for your assistance.
Sure, sir, anytime.
Suicide among children represents a critical issue in Guyana that necessitates immediate action. This troubling phenomenon arises from a complex interplay of mental health challenges, family dynamics, and cultural stigma. The increasing incidence of child suicide emphasizes the urgent need for a comprehensive approach to mental health care by enhancing awareness involving access to mental health services and fostering support within communities and families. Guyana can take substantial measures towards reducing suicide rates and ensuring a more promising future for its youths.